You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, guys. So I have brought on the expert. I've been telling you about Nano Xtreme for the longest time. This stuff has helped my shoulder. It's helped my wrist. Anytime I have a pain, I've given it to my family members, anyone that I care about that struggles with pain. Matt, how are you? Mr. Matt from Nano Xtreme.
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks to Nano Xtreme. And I'm so happy you guys have come on board with my show. And this stuff works so good. I would promote this stuff even if I wasn't sponsored. If somebody just gave it to me and told me this works this good, I would still share it with other people. It works that good.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. We've gotten so many stories like yours that it's been truly impactful on so many people's lives for the better. So I'm super happy to be with this brand and supporting it.
Okay, so in a day and age when pharmaceutical companies are constantly trying to solve this problem and getting people hooked on stuff, what was the inspiration for you guys to come up with something like this?
So the story of Nano X is a pretty cool one. I'll try to keep it short for you, but the long version is very cool. So it all starts with our chief chemist, Mikkel Anderson. His dad was a holistic healthcare doctor who traveled all around the world, treating some prominent families, some royal families over in Europe, and some stars in Hollywood like Burt Reynolds. So Mikkel followed after his father and became an inventor and, wanted to do some stuff with medicine. The formula originated from Mikkel's father. Mikkel added some nanotechnology to it, which has been our kind of big breakthrough and claim to fame here.
So explain to me how the nano, like what is important? You say that word nano, and I hear that all over the place. What makes yours different, and why should that mean anything to me?
Yeah, so nanotechnology is the act of breaking down molecules. Say you have like one big basketball, we break it down 1,000, 100,000 times till it's the size of a tiny grain of sand, which allows it to absorb through the skin much easier, much more effectively, which means the ingredients aren't getting absorbed into the bloodstream as much. So there's less side effects like people experience with the oral pain medication. And it's very targeted. Most pain creams will only penetrate the first like 3 layers of skin. Ours penetrates all 7. So it's able to get into the muscle tissue and tendons and also interact with nerve receptors. So we use a lot of natural spices in our formula that are great for interacting and stimulating nerve receptors so that it, will temporarily block nerves from sending pain signals to the brain in targeted areas. So it's very beneficial in that way.
And then I was told something about nano, like everyone claims nano these days, but your guys is particular. You cut them up into smaller, different, like they're not all the same size, so they get through different layers, right?
Yeah, so like a bit of the secret sauce is that we use different sized nanoparticles. So, our smallest nano-sized particles will penetrate very quickly, almost immediately through the skin and start treating your ailment wherever it is. And then our larger size molecules will take longer, which is why our pain cream lasts for so long and you don't need to reapply it like every hour, like so many pain creams that people use these days. So it's got a very long lasting and it's fast acting, long lasting is what we like to say.
I can attest to that. I will say though, like it was first when you guys first sent it to me, because I wasn't going to promote it unless it worked. So I took it and I used it and I'm like, gosh, guys, it's not working. It took every day. I used it morning and night. It took about till the 5th day. And I'm like, wait a second, my shoulder feels good. How did that happen? All of a sudden, randomly. Can you help me explain why that happened?
So it's a little difficult to explain because with pain, there are so many variables. I can't say 100% it is this, but it could be due to high inflammation in your shoulder. If you've had that pain for many years, there's generally going to be a lot of inflammation in that area. And inflammation isn't something that you can take down on your first application. It could have just been that you needed a few days of consistent use for the ingredients that are anti-inflammatory in our product to get to work, take down the inflammation, and then really start treating the root of the pain.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now that it's like whatever you said is built up in there. Now, anytime it hurts, I actually forget to put it on now because I don't have that constant pain reminder. But if I forget and it starts hurting, I put it on, it almost instantly goes away. But it was weird how it took that buildup. And then the other big question I get with Nano Xtreme is it has DMSO. Now, we used to use DMSO back in the day. I'm not going to lie. I bought it at a horse feed place. Because that's the only place you could get it. But it was a trick to reduce inflammation. I don't know if it's healthy for humans, but as dirt bike racers, we're willing to do whatever. But is this stuff approved? Is this human safe, unlike what I was using before?
So yes, it's very safe. We have done numerous private safety tests, and we have gotten, tremendous results. Mikkel, he's an inventor. He's formulated multiple different products for human consumption, and he's done a couple other pain ventures before. And he said that this is by far the cleanest product that he's ever seen testing come back from. And, we're FDA OTC registered. So, it's perfectly safe for human consumption.
Okay, so RFK is not going to look at it and say, hey, what are you putting in here? He's going to be like, cool, use more, right?
Yeah, we are.
So the DMSO that I bought at the horse feed place, how is it different than the stuff that's in Nano Xtreme? Is there any difference? Is it just a smaller dose?
I don't know exactly what you bought. So it's difficult to say. One thing I do know is that, we are very particular about where we source our ingredients. So we make sure that everything we get is, meeting the highest standards of cleanliness. And
I will say the stuff I got from the horse feed place, it gave me a rash. So I do not recommend it. It's not good. Not good. Don't do that, people. It was just when I saw that ingredient, I went, wait a second, I've seen that before, but it was a long time ago. So Matt, do you worry? Because pain is a huge billion-dollar business. If people get a hold of Nano Xtreme, do you worry about the pharmaceutical companies coming back on you?
I don't think we have to worry too much, especially with, the results of this past election and RFK coming in. I think he wants to steer us away from the big pharmaceutical and, big pharma aspect of things. So I'm not too worried about any pushback. I think we'll be okay. The pain cream industry has been solid for many years, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
And now I've used a ton of these pain creams out there, and they always have like, oh, lidocaine this, lidocaine that, and it always seemed to just barely numb it. Do you know what are some primary differences that separate Nano versus like some basic stuff that you get?
Yeah, so the products that use lidocaine, and this goes back to what I said earlier about our absorption and us being able to absorb through all 7 layers of skin. The lidocaine is really just like a numbing agent. So most pain creams will penetrate those first few layers of skin, and they'll have some sort of numbing agent in it. And it's really just masking the pain on the surface, while we penetrate through all 7 layers of skin, have our 19 natural ingredients go to work and start treating it truly at the source of where the pain is stemming from, rather than just masking it on the surface.
So Nano Xtreme doesn't just mask pain, it gets in there. How does it help repair it? Does it have repairing, or is it just because it reduces the inflammation? What reasons does it heal the injury?
There are very, very many different reasons, and it all depends on what kind of pain that you have. When the ingredients penetrate all 7 layers of skin, the anti-inflammatories get to work. Natural spices that interact with nerve receptors, they go to work and stop those nerve endings from sending the pain signals to your brain.
Now, I have a different use, and a lot of the reasons that we used the DMSO back in the day is, not just for pain. My brother and I would put it on our forearms to reduce arm pump, and it was very effective. Like I said, if you could get through the rash, the DMSO worked perfectly. I haven't been riding lately, but I have to think, man, this stuff would be amazing on your forearms for arm pump. Have you guys tried that, or have you heard anyone using it that way?
Unfortunately, it's something that we haven't really tested yet. And, that would be wonderful, because I know you and I myself definitely suffer from arm pump. After those first 4 laps on the track, I'm burning up and just holding on for the ride. But that's something that we should definitely look into, because wouldn't that be something for the motocross industry?
And I am aware there's many causes of arm pump, but one of them is when you go out there cold, and I think this can help that portion of it. You still got to be in shape. You still not have can't ride with a death grip. But this stuff will help with that initial, you know how you ride and you do like 5 minutes, you come back out, let your everything open up. I think this eliminates part of that. So that's what I would recommend. And anyone out there, if you guys watch this and you try it on your forums, please report back to me because I want to know. I'm betting $100 that it works really good. I love how we saw someone run by back there. Who's that?
Your chief chemist, Mikkel. Mikkel, you want to say hi?
Mikkel.
Hey, how are ya?
Hey, there's the man himself, the creator. What's happening?
How you doing there?
Oh, pretty good. I didn't know we had a shot to have the genius himself. Hey, I was asking about DMSO. And you know, one of the big concerns is it safe, and why is it safe for humans versus the stuff they use on horses?
Well, I mean, DMSO has been around, for 100 years, right? And it comes from, there's a couple different ways they take DMSO out of wood pulp. One is chemically, ours is natural, okay? But DMSO is a highly absorbable material where it can go through all the layers of the skin, penetrate it. And DMSO in itself is kind of like a hot, cold, warm, cold feel, but it basically goes to the end of the nerves and let's say puts like a coating on it and tells the nerves, hey, you're okay, no problem. And that's where it becomes so effective in so many different areas. But it also is a transport vehicle for other materials. And when we nanoize these other ingredients, it actually helps bring it into all the muscle, the tissue, the nerves, the areas where it needs to go. It's an accelerator to go through. So when we nanoize a different size nanoparticles, that's why it's fast acting, long lasting. I think maybe we talked about it before, but you have a molecule like this. It doesn't matter as vitamin C or THC, right? And when we nanoize, we take that molecule and break it up to 1 million pieces, 1 billion pieces, 100,000 pieces. So there's different size nanoparticles. So that's where it goes right through, let's say it carries it in with the DMSO, even without DMSO, to carry it through the different layers of the skin into the tissue, muscle, things like this. But it's carrying everything in with it on the small nanoparticles. And then the other little bit larger nanoparticles, it takes a little bit longer, and then so on and so forth to where the largest particle is the long lasting. So you have the quick all the way to the longer lasting. But DMSO is one of those miracle ingredients that they've been using for 100 years. I mean, they try to make it illegal, for about a decade because it works so fucking good.
Yeah, that was my question is, do the pharmaceutical companies do that on purpose because they know it'll put them out of business?
Absolutely, 100%. Then they couldn't stop it anymore, so they made it legal again, right? They weren't making any money off of it. Any natural ingredient from a flower, a root, a bark, all these different extracts from nature, okay? And DMSO comes from nature. It's a tree, right? And it was actually this is a side note, was interesting with DMSO comes from pine trees and things. But when you look at a tree in general, right? A big, beautiful pine tree, you have the sequoias, 4,000 years old and, whatever. But, what's interesting about just any plant, but a tree in general, what kind of strength and let's say it protects itself, anti-protection, right? So, I mean, it has all these different elements for bugs, for birds, for drought, for, overwater. So it's a natural mechanism in itself as far as a healing product. And that's why you have pine bark extract, you have pine, the pine needles for different, healing remedies. The cones itself on the extract have different healing remedies. So it's one of those interesting things about, let's say, nature in general. But when it comes to trees are probably one of the most studied natural plants out there that's being studied all around the world. The Amazon and things like that is like the birch tree. Birch tree is where aspirin comes from. Birch tree is where chaga mushroom is. Those big bulges on a birch tree, chaga mushrooms, one of the healthiest mushrooms in the world. Xylitol, the natural sweetener that kills all the germs and bacteria in your mouth. It's a sweetener at the same time. They use it all over the world for healthy oral care, but it's a sweetener. One tree has like 4 major health benefits, so it's kind of interesting. So when you hear anything negative on, let's say, DMSO or other plants, right, extract, it's usually because you cannot patent a plant, right, or an extract from a plant, and the pharma companies have no control over it and turn it into a drug. The same molecule, but they fucking make it into a drug.
Oh, so yeah, that's what they do. They take the molecule and they try and simulate it close but slightly different and then patent it, right?
That's exactly what they do. It's no different than, like, let's say Icarin, right? So Icarin comes from horny goat weed. You've heard of horny goat weed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people take, take 6 to 9 tablets a day for 3 months, and then you start, getting the effects, which you will, right? But the active ingredient in horny goat weed is Icarin. So there's less than 1% Icarin, which is the only thing you need out of that horny goat weed, right? That's why you have to take so much of it. But it is less than 1%. But then you had Pfizer go out and synthesize it, turn it into a drug, okay? And they own 20 years, made billions and hundreds of billions of dollars.
They're not going to like Nano. They're not going to like Nano Xtreme, but I'm excited. And I'm so glad we got RFK in there to help, keep them from coming after you guys. Because when you talk about how it will affect that pain industry, and they have made billions and billions making people addicts, I'm just, like I said, I told Matt before, and I would promote this stuff even if I wasn't a sponsor, because I've never had a pain cream that was this effective. I just haven't, and I've tried a lot.
Yeah, no, it's awesome stuff. And, the menthol salicylate and the DMSO, I don't know if you know, but, when I was a little kid, 3 and 4 and 5 years old, my dad was a chiropractor, nutritionist, stress analyst, iridologist. But, a naturopath, right? All natural, medicines and things like this, chiropractic treatments, nerve, pressure points, and stuff like this. My dad became pretty famous globally for treating kings and presidents and prime ministers and actors, whatever. But my dad was always given horses, really expensive race horses, because my parents always had ranches. And instead of putting the horse down, this $1 million horse, whatever, they would give it to my parents because they knew that it could run the rest of his life free and things like this. My dad would get these horses all the time, right? He'd get these horses, he would tie a rope around its tail, okay? And then the other end of the rope around a fence post, hit his ass, and the horse would take off. It, adjusted the horse. My dad, with the end of a shovel, would do pressure points on his back and rub the shit out of DMSO all over his back and his legs, and the horse is fucking healed in a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's good stuff. Yeah. All right, Mikael, we'll let you get back to work. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Nice talking to you. Seeing you. All right, buddy.
That guy is a wealth of knowledge, Matt. I don't know. I'm so glad he explained the DMSO. I didn't know it came from trees. I just see 3 letters. It looks scary. It looks like it's some sort of chemical compound, but hearing it comes from tree bark makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, no, it's a natural, organically occurring compound. So I don't think it can be patented, which is probably why that pushback on DMSO happened.
Okay, well, hey, it looks like you guys are packaging stuff up there. Anyone head over to Nano Xtreme, use code Cooksy, get free shipping, and Matt and Mikael, they'll get your product shipped out. Anything else you want to tell people, Matt?
If anyone out in South Florida is around late January, the 23rd to the 26th, we are going to be doing the event of Wadapalooza, the CrossFit event. So we're going to have a booth set up there. Come hang out with us there.
Well, hey, thank you for your time, Matt. I am so thankful